Hey guys, Brad from the Maritime Paintball Podcast, back with another review. Now, full disclosure and full disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video. ALTAI has nothing to do with this video. This is simply about a pair of boots that I bought for myself with my own money. Enter the ALTAI 8-inch tactical boot MFT100. It's a bit of a mouthful, so I'm just going to refer to it as the MFT100, or the boot, for the rest of the video. I got these on sale from Flagrators Paintball, so I paid a little bit more than half price. And when I saw the boots, like I needed new boots, I looked at the website, and I just happened to see them, and I thought, you know what? Screw it, let's go for it. And if they last me the year, great. If they don't, well, then I only paid like $75 or $78 or something like that. No harm, no foul. But after, filming and doing the stuff for this review, I really think these boots are going to last me a lot longer than a year. I'm probably going to put them through hell for the next 12 months. Let's start with the look of this boot first, and then we'll get into the specifics of it. Basically, it's your standard 8-inch tactical boot in black. It's available in a desert tan as well, but I am more partial to a black boot over a brown boot. You'll notice the side of the boot does look a little funny. It's like a bumpy material. So this is something called super fabric I had to look into. This material is abrasion resistant, slash resistant. For some reason they list it as rodent resistant. I'm guessing if you're around rats a lot, rats won't eat your boots. I don't know. But it's also waterproof and breathable, which I did put to the test, and we'll show that a little later on in the video. So it does look a little bit odd, but this super fabric's really cool. It's found everywhere from like these tactical boots. You can find it in CrossFit material. The most badass place I found it is it's actually built into the suits that bomb disposal teams use, like those massive like EOD tech suits. So the tongue of this boot is made of cordura with a polyester lining on the inside. The polyester is all the way through it. Because of that cordura, it's super durable, super strong material. But at the same time, like I tightened this boot as much as I wanted to, like to get it real snug and real tight, and it never like pinched. The cordura didn't like fold over on itself and like cause any pinching or digging into me in any way, so that was really, really nice. So the speed lacing on these boots is incredibly well made. I never really thought I would say something like a speed lacing system is really well made. On a review video, you didn't even have to look. Just tightening these boots up, the laces in my hands, everything, it just went, I didn't have to look. Like the laces just went where they were supposed to go. The boot got tightened and it was secured. It was super fast. They've done a really good job on the eyelets themselves. At no point did I feel like they were going to cut the laces or tear into the laces like you find on some cheaper boots I've had in the past, where that speed lacing system, especially on cheap hiking boots, that it cuts the laces to pieces, and you're constantly replacing your laces because of that feature that they've included. But ALTAI has done an amazing job with these ones, and there's no risk at all of them cutting the laces. The interior of these boots is really well made. You're going to hear me say that a lot on this video, that everything on this boot is really well made, because it really is. It's a polyester interior with this beautiful foam, especially along the ankle here, or along the upper part of the boot. I guess your ankle will be lower down here. But this thick material that they put on the side, this cushioning, just makes the boot so comfortable, and you're not worried about anything digging in. It's all one solid piece inside here, so the boot's not multiple pieces digging into you or anything like that. The polyester inside is moisture wicking, so it's pulling the sweat and the moisture, the humidity away from your foot, and pulling it out of the boot. This super fabric is breathable while waterproof, so it just does a really good job of keeping your foot comfortable. Even when you get the boot wet, like as long as the water doesn't come up past this sewn in part here, like as long as the water doesn't come up past here on the boot, like right to I guess the bottom of the speed lacing, then your foot is dry, and it even like in the sweat, yeah, you're gonna sweat a little bit. It's a boot, but it's so comfortable walking around. Like you don't feel the sweat forming in your foot at all. It's just so well made, and the comfort of it. The bottom of the boot, the midsole, This was really stood out to me. This part here, walking around, I could feel it under my foot in a good way. Like it supported the bottom of my foot. When I would take a step, it was almost like I could feel like I could go from heel. I could feel the pressure go from heel to midsole to toe in such a way that at no point did my foot feel unsupported or that it felt like there was too much pushing up. It was just a really comfortable walk all the way through. Let's talk about the sole of the boot. Let's talk about the bottom of the boot here, where, you know, like 90% of the action happens, right? So this is made out of a company called Vibram. That's also the material is called Vibram. So the Vibram is I had to look it up because I really wasn't familiar with it, but it's a special type of rubber that mud doesn't like to stick to. But I know there's a little bits of it here and there, but keep in mind, like this boot was tested in mud puddles and the mud didn't stick, which was really cool. So you're not gonna have to worry about when you're running about your treads gumming up with dirt and mud and then suddenly you have a flat soleless shoe because it's more dirt than sole at that point. The other thing too is it's super flexible rubber. So it likes to stretch and it'll deform and it's soft, but it won't wear down quickly. It's kind of difficult to really review a boot when I've only had them for a week. I might have to come back in a year and do a follow-up to this video after I've beaten the piss out of these boots for a year, and we'll see how the tread looks and all that jazz, and we'll see how well it held up to the eventual 2020 paintball season, as well as maybe I'll give it a good winter run and then I'll come back to it in like March of next year. So finally, let's talk about the waterproofing on these boots. So these boots here, that super fabric is completely waterproof. And when I saw the word waterproof, I was a little skeptical. I've seen some companies say, oh, it's waterproof for a minute, you know, or it's waterproof for 15 seconds or whatever. Dipping my entire boot, well, most of the boot, into a puddle full of dirt and leaves and grime, and I'm pretty sure a couple of frogs were in there too. I could tell you right away that this boot was totally waterproof. At no point did I feel any moisture. I didn't even feel a temperature change putting my boot into cold water, which is really good. Coming out of the water, nothing stuck to it. The water didn't get through the toe. It just beads off the toe, gone. Like it just drains off. These boots, I was, you know, stomping in a water puddle, in a deep puddle, and they were dry within, like the outer side of the boot was dry before I got back in the house. So the waterproofing is phenomenal on these. I am not afraid at all of stomping around in dirty, muddy, grimy water on the paintball field or around the house or wherever I might be in these boots. I know they're gonna hold up. I know they will. My final remarks, my final thoughts on the ALTAI MFT100 tactical boot. So these things are incredibly well made. I've only had mine for a week. And I mean, to be fair, I didn't push these boots to the absolute limit because I paid my money for them and I don't want to risk destroying my boots that I just paid for. So we'll check back in a year and we'll have a really much better understanding on how well these boots held out. But what I can say is the 1 week that I have had with them so far, they have, you know, they felt great walking around in the rocky sand, in the less rocky sand, walking around in the wooded parts, walking around in the mud puddles, in the water puddles. They just felt comfortable all around. Hell, they even feel comfortable walking around in the house. They're just a really well-made boot. This super fabric stuff, super intriguing. I'm really excited to see how well this holds up in the coming year, and hopefully longer than a year, of just like standard use and just getting beaten all to hell. I'm excited to see how well this stuff holds up. I don't think I have to worry about like getting slashed in the ankle or anything, but you know, fields like PRZ are full of, you know, concrete and old boats and stuff and pallets, and maybe we'll see what happens if they get destroyed or not. So ultimately, I'm really happy with my purchase. I don't think I'm gonna have any issues with these boots at all. One last thing though I want to talk about that was in the box is these sausage link laces. So I thought these were hilarious. When I pulled them out and they were on the boots, I thought, man, these are funny looking laces, but they make so much sense. So when you make a knot, which I am absolutely failing to do right now, they legitimately like lock, right? So the knot ends up in the in between the sausage links, and they don't come untied unless you want them to, and even then they may not come untied. There we go. But you can hear them almost click. Like it's the only way I can really describe it is like a click sound in between each link when you're tightening the lace. So something small like that, but it's a huge deal. There's nothing worse than being running on the paintball field and then suddenly your boot's untied and you gotta stop and tie your boot and you get shot in the ass or something. You know, it happens. But those are my final thoughts on the ALTAI MFT100 tactical boot. I highly recommend it. I've only had it for a week, but we'll see what happens in the next coming year. And if you're looking for a new paintball boot or a new work boot, check out ALTAI's website. They seem to have some really good stuff. Or find a local retailer if you're a Canadian like myself, and score yourself maybe a sweet deal. So that's all I've got. So thank you so much for hanging out and checking out the video, making it this far. If you enjoyed the video, you know, subscribe and maybe leave a comment, positive or negative. I'm a big boy, I can take the criticism. Excuse me. And of course, you can check me out every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern at the Maritime Paintball Podcast on Facebook, and where we do the live shows and talk to some really great guests and talk about some really cool topics. And hopefully the season kicks off soon because I can have some more topics to talk about. If you have anything that you might want to see me review in the future, let me know. I've got a couple of markers behind me that are a couple of years old, so there's plenty of review videos on that. So I don't know, maybe not recommend those, but who knows? Who knows what we'll do. So thanks again, folks, and that's it. Cheers.